All right, good evening, everyone, and happy Monday. It is 11/11. Woohoo! 2013. Hope you all had a beautiful day. And I don't know if you're in the Midwest area, you might be preparing for a hard freeze here tonight. So, hope you enjoyed the last of fall. Welcome, and thank you all for joining us here tonight. Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. We have a very special show in store for you. We are going to be learning about urine therapy and distilled waters here with Andrew Norton Weber. His website, you can go to either AndrewNortonWeber.com, and that's Weber with two B's, by the way, AndrewNortonWeber.com, or AquariusTheWaterBearer.com. That's AquariusTheWaterBearer.com. If you have any questions or comments tonight, you can, ooh, whoops, forgot to open the caller line. Anyways, we will get that open eventually. It's 218-339-8525, 218-339-8525. And if you'd like to join us on the text chat, that's over at souljourneysradio.com. And if you do want to post your questions in the text chat, I try to do as best as I can, multitasking, but if you could help me out and just make sure the questions are all in caps so they can kind of stand out, and I can make sure to ask Andrew your questions tonight. Andrew, of course, is an artist, intuitive, free thinker, lecturer, health researcher. He's been sharing the properties of distilled waters and urine therapy with people all over the world here in the last few years. And if you check out his website, that's AquariusTheWaterBearer.com, you can find out about his upcoming conferences. I believe they are both in California, so just click on events and it'll take you there. Let's see, World Congress Urotherapy, that's November 14 to 16, and you can go to worldcongressurotherapy.org. And in Sacramento, the following weekend, November 23rd, is the Distilled Waters Conference in Sacramento. That website is distilledwatersconferencesacramento.com. But it is so good to have you all here tonight. And you, of course, Andrew. I'm super excited about finally doing this topic. We've had many of our listeners recommend you for quite a while, actually, especially with urine therapy. We have some urine therapists, I guess, if that's, I don't know what you call them, that have actually been involved in that for like 15 years. So I'm super excited to learn more. So welcome, and thanks so much for being here tonight.
Hi, Christy. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate that great intro. I guess one thing we could tell people is that it's no longer referred to as urine therapy. We figured out that that is a purposely low vibrating word so that people do not even want to say the word urine.
That makes sense.
It sounds like a car that won't start. Urine.
Well, people are already in the chat. They're like, I don't even care if it works. Just Christy, please tell me you're not going to do it. And, and he's like, I need to go get a Budweiser. So that's funny. Okay, so what do you call it nowadays?
The actual name for it is Orin, and that can be spelled Aurin or Orin. And we've been uncovering a lot of a lot of stories, not really ancient, that use the sound Orin. They can be spelled even in the Never-Ending Story, that movie. It's spelled Auryn.
Oh.
And it turns out that the sound, of course, the sound is important, not the spelling. The spelling puts you under a spell. It's the sound that gives you sound knowledge.
Yeah.
And the sound or is associated with very, very many high vibrating and important words. Just right off the bat, the Hebrew word for light is or, O-R. And Aquaman's, the superhero comic, it turns out that at birth, his name was Orin, O-R-I-N. In the movie The Never-Ending Story, the hero wants to wear an amulet, a necklace called the Orin, and it's a double Ouroboros symbol of two snakes consuming their own tail, which is one of the most oldest symbols on the planet, and it's the alchemist's favorite symbol, the Ouroboros, the image of the snake eating its tail. That is a depiction of Orin therapy. Used to be known as urine therapy, when you consume yourself. And we all used to do that in the
Ah,
womb for 9 months straight. We
yeah.
drank all of our urine, and it is
Yeah.
what grew us. And we would not be here without it. We started drinking it at 5 weeks old. For the first 3 months, it's mainly your mom's Orin, and for the remaining 6 months, it's mainly yours. You pee directly into that space, and you create the very water, which is the water that breaks at birth. It's the amniotic fluid, is your Orin. And so the baby is exactly the Ouroboros. And when you consume, you start doing that again, you become the Ouroboros again. And it really, the joke of alchemy is just that. It's a joke to make you think you need to study for decades, when all it really is cycling your own water round and round. And the reason for that, alchemy, the L sound, uh, very often is a reference to light. And all the
Hmm.
words for light start with L. And we have alive and living and enlighten and light. And even the L sound, alchemy, means light chemistry. And chemical means the chemistry of light. And so the reason alchemy, urine therapy, has been hiding for the past 12,000 or so years under the term of alchemy. That's where it's been hidden. And what we find out is that the more pure water is, the more prana, or light, or mana, or chi, or the force, radiant energy, whatever you want to call it, the more pure water is, the more light it conducts. That's why when people get healthy, they start to glow. When they make the waters inside their body pure, they start to channel more light. And you can even
Mm.
see it in the movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead.
Hmm.
These two gentlemen are very gray, obese, sour personalities, not very happy, not very friendly, very kind of gray in the eyes even, and they go to a complete opposite of all those attributes. And you can
Yeah.
watch these people as they clean out their bodies and they shed hundreds of pounds of weight. They literally start to develop a glow. And all electricians are taught the opposite, which is part of the other side of evidence to help prove it, is that pure water, the more pure water is, the less electricity it will conduct. Not prana. Prana is healthy energy. Electricity is harmful energy. And all electricians
Oh.
know, and
Huh.
anybody can Google this up, distilled water is the only water which is known to not conduct electricity. So in this time
Wow.
of scalar weapons and HARP and Wi-Fi and cell towers and being sprayed with nanobots, um, the ability to make your body resistant to electrical flow is very important. And it specifically gives you the auric force field that you always wished for as a child. And we have testimonial now from targeted individuals who were receiving voice to skull transmissions and burn marks on their face and couldn't sleep.
Hmm.
When they started pounding the distilled waters, uh, they started, at first they couldn't ever reflect it, and they just had to suffer with the transmissions.
Yeah.
But after a couple of months on the distilled waters, when they felt the transmission start to enter their consciousness, they could sit down and meditate for 2 minutes and push it back out.
Okay,
And then,
Andrew, I have to
uh-huh,
stop you here because you are teaching me so much I did not previously know. And you really struck a chord with me because a lot of TIs will ask me, well, Christy, you used to wear lead blankets. How come you're not anymore? How come you're not being targeted or at least being affected by, whatever the heck they were doing to me? I mean, literally burning me and all crazy stuff. And yeah, 6 years ago, I was wearing lead blankets. Today, I'm not. I feel totally fine, healthy, free. If somebody's beaming me with anything, I certainly don't feel it, but I never for a minute attributed it to the switch of me going to distilled water 5.5 years ago. I had no idea. So the electrical and the prana and everything you're talking about right now just really, really hit home and gave me some insight into why things in my life are just glowing.
oh, that is a slam. I didn't know that. That's great to add your
Yeah.
testimonial to that.
I
That's
swear to God, you
fantastic.
can watch videos. I mean, I literally, anybody who's been listening to the show all these years knows. And so they'll always ask me, well, how come you're not being affected anymore? I'm like, I don't know, spiritual physics? Healthier eating? I really don't know, but you just, okay, you gave us that answer. So thank you,
I,
Andrew.
yeah, I actually think spiritual physics is a pretty nice answer. That kind of sums it up nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can ask any electrician this. They all know it's
Hmm.
taught in basic school that distilled water will not conduct electricity. And it's really it's the inorganic minerals, it's the dissolved solids in it, it's the matter in water that electricity arcs across. And so the cleaner you make your body, it literally cannot penetrate. And
Yeah.
the opposite happens as you become cleaner, you channel more light. So both things that you want to happen when you start to pursue this knowledge and consume the pure waters, both things happen at the same time. Your aura goes up and your
Yes.
ability to be hit by electricity goes down. And
It totally
um,
does. And, thankfully, I've been here 7 years and people have been with me since the time I was in a wheelchair and now. And, we talked before the show. In fact, we did a little experiment a couple weeks ago with Sydney Ross Singer on the show. And I showed people in the chat pictures of me 15 years ago and then pictures of me today. And they all said I look younger, healthier, more vibrant, and glowing today than I did in my 20s. So yeah, there's definitely something to this.
um, and very nice. And this is why I keep giving talks about this. It's a little frustrating being one of the only ones in the world talking about it, at least as far as I'm aware of in the English speaking world. I wish all of our supposed truth hero broadcasters would start spreading this knowledge, but there seems to be a real resistance to it.
Wow.
And it's turning out that water exposes, just by asking the question, water exposes who is trying to keep people asleep
I
and who is
agree.
trying to wake people up.
I agree
And
100%. So just because somebody says they're in truth movement or this and that, I'll just say this. I believe there are just as many agendas here as in the mainstream. So whether that's 80 or 90% or whatever, follow me. They don't want to give people what's going to help them because they're going to be able to discern for themselves and tap into is this real information or is this, oh, this sounds good because they put out some big words or oh, there's another rock star. But yeah, there aren't very many that are actually giving people information that can help them improve their lives today.
now water is very sensitive and picks up every vibration. And so when you become flooded yourself with pure waters, your powers of discernment go beyond anything that most of us have ever imagined. And the basic way they sum up the age of Aquarius is that Aquarius brings psychic awareness. And this is literally exactly what the water does on a physical plane.
Yeah.
And people don't have to drink their urine. They need to know that it is one of the biggest secrets being held from them. You can access your auric field and grow your shield through the distilled water and the juices, but nothing will get it there as fast as looping your own urine will. And it's only because the body makes pure water on a level that no distiller anywhere in science can match.
It kind of
Uh,
makes sense, Andrew. Again, I said I've never done the urine therapy yet. I'm going to. I just, I kind of move slow and want to make sure that I feel okay with everything. But I would
yeah,
love to,
just
it just makes sense. Our body is designed, it's like a juicer, right? We piss out our juice and poop out the pulp, and it's all
that's exactly
useful.
right.
Yeah.
I've never heard it put that way. That's fantastic. But yes, that truly that is where the waste goes, and everybody knows inside the womb that the umbilical cord is attached to the intestines,
Yeah.
not everybody's fountain. The fountain is free to pump water into the amniotic area, and you drink that water. And so some simple things you can do. Well, for one, read a book on it. On my website, I have a water library. The best book is The Water of Life by John Armstrong. And there's a free PDF of that on my site. It's fewer than 140 pages,
Oh,
but it'll
wow.
change your life forever. Whether you use the information or not, you need to know that if you never have to fear any snakes or deadly poison bites, Anytime you
Yeah.
get bit by anything like that, within seconds, the antidote is in your urine and
Yeah.
all your Orin. All you have to do is pee out a few drops into your hand
Yeah.
and put it in your mouth and hold it under your tongue. And the antigens,
Absolutely.
if you get stung by a cobra, cobra antigens will be in your pee. And they, when you hold it under your tongue, the two lymph nodes that produce antibodies study the antigens and they say, ah, this is messing with us. And bam, 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 they start popping out the right antibodies. You do not have to fear
Amazing.
any snake or spider, any kind of bite out in the wild. You don't need a venom kit. You complete with your own venom kit, your own auto vaccination kit. And so some of the simplest things you can do, one, read a book, start seeing what people say for testimonials. On my website, there's a link called testimonial. So far, we're working on, we have 2,000, but so far there's 500 urine therapy testimonials in alphabetical order by disease on both of my websites underneath testimonials. Read those and you'll see that the pattern is ridiculously awesome.
Okay, honey,
Uh,
I'm so sorry. Hold that right there. We got to take a short break, but we will be right back with Andrew Norton Weber here on SoulJourneysRadio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifilant brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifilant. There's nothing else like Modifilant. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarium. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifilant banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also, check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
You're listening to AmericanFreedomRadio.com, the network who perseveres in delivering intelligent debate, constructive dialogue with true independence. The freedom to broadcast the truth is not free at all. So what is American Freedom Radio worth to you? The empowering information with fun, honest and pure integrity behind it provides an example to follow, friendships to flourish, with the moral altruism that pulls no punches. The hosts sacrifice and show remarkable discipline in their duty to deliver quality radio and service to the community with strength, wisdom and loyalty. The founders of AFR wish to thank you personally for sharing your views and insights to make the best radio and alternative media. Now it's time for you to give something back and play a vital role in the future of America. Be as generous with us as we've been with you. Click on the donate banner at AmericanFreedomRadio.com or volunteer by emailing AmericanFreedomRadio@ymail.com. Vaccine, psychotropic drugs, and artillery batteries not included.
All right, welcome back, and thanks again for joining us here tonight. Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Our special guest tonight, Andrew Norton Weber. His website is AquariusTheWaterBearer.com, and as he just mentioned before we went to the break, he has a bunch of books that you can learn and free PDFs and such. So click on the Water Library and it'll take you right there to the books and information that he's talking about here. And Andrew, I'm totally blown away. I've already learned so much information from you about this, and things are really clicking and making sense. So I really, really appreciate you kind of putting yourself out there and, you know, educating us about distilled waters and Orin therapy, aka urine therapy, aka drinking your pee or whatever, you know. I want to know if you can share with us, when did you come across this information and start implementing it into your life? And if you could share with us like your path when you started noticing differences and how it affected you.
Roughly 10 years ago, I was talking to a yogi. I didn't know, I had learned about fluoride already, and we had shut off the city water and dug a well. And I was fooled at the time by the early death article. When you Google distilled water, it's not by accident that without fail you will find smacking you right in the face an article with the title of "Early Death Comes from Drinking Distilled Water." And the vast majority of health, quote unquote, experts are fooled by that article. And I, at the time, too, thought, okay, well, I guess it's bad for you. It leaches minerals from the body. And so I thought we were doing good on the well water. But I was still researching health. I'd become aware of the massive assault that we were under. And this yogi happened to mention urine therapy. And that was the first time I'd ever heard that term. And that's all anybody needs to know to go start a complete research on their own. And I studied it for 5 years. I ordered more than 20 books from all over the planet, and I had over 1,000 testimonials in those books. And since then, I've read, well over 2,000 testimonials, and we're about to publish all of them for free on my website in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I just posted that in the text chat, by the way, if anyone would like to join us over at souljourneysradio.com. But that's all on the website, and I'm posting those links as you're talking about them, Andrew, so people can actually see with their own eyes. But okay, so about 10 years ago, you were introduced to this information. Now, what was your like? Were you like me? Just eating whatever's there, drinking soda, taking, over-the-counter pharmaceutical drugs? I mean, were you a typical standard American diet like most of the rest of us?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Not on any prescriptions, but I definitely had ADD type symptoms my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But eating a standard sad American diet, and that's probably still my biggest issue is dealing with addiction to cooked food. And we, for the most part, well, we don't have any meat in our fridge or refrigerator at all. It's all vegetables and stuff. But we still
Okay.
go out to dinner with cooked food once in a while.
Did you
And it,
change your diet before you started Orin therapy on yourself? Or do you think that that's something, because that's one of the things that kept me from just, peeing in a jar and drinking it. I wanted to know that I was all completely detoxed of 35 years of, all the crap that most of us normally do. And so I'm just wondering, I mean, if you're super toxic and, eating cheeseburgers and Diet Cokes all day long and you're whatever, case of Bush Light, I'm in Hillbillyville, so sorry, not picking on anyone, but that's the way it is around here. Is it safe to drink your urine?
yes, it is. It is actually, you don't have to wait to be clean. It is the cleaner. And
Ah,
what you'll see by reading testimonials is that almost without fail, the people who have the most dramatic testimonials are at death's door. They're 60 years old, 70 years old. They're riddled with cancer or tuberculosis, any horrifying
okay.
disease. And those people have been given the death sentence by doctors. They've been told, go home, you're dead. So they got nothing left to lose. And you'll see that they just start pounding all of it.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm glad you
and,
mentioned that because somebody literally just asked, what if you have cancer and have problems with your kidneys? And I know this person is healing themselves from cancer now and is
uh,
interested in Orin therapy. So you're saying even if you are a little bit out of whack, you don't have to wait till you're completely clean. Even starting now will help.
even if you're completely out of whack and you're totally dirty, this
Wow.
is the built-in cleaner that you come with.
Okay.
Um, this is the lost fountain of youth. This is many things. This is the Holy Grail, the lost fountain of youth, the alchemy. Almost every mythical fantasy weapon or defense shield you've heard of is actually this water knowledge. And that's,
Wow.
duh, of course, it's so simple, it's hidden in plain sight. And the reason you see little boys peeing in fountains all across the planet as a common water garden sculpture is it's a hidden pictogram for the fountain of youth. It's always a
Oh,
little boy, sometimes it's a little girl, but it
yeah.
follows the path of sending it round and round and round. And that's what you do. You pee in a glass and you send it round and round. It also follows the path of your toroidal energy field. It follows that exact path. It goes down through the center of your body when you drink it. It comes out, you raise it up in a glass, and it goes round and round in the exact same circle of the donut-shaped energy field that we have flowing down through our chakra. If you
Oh,
have cancer, kidney issues, this will clean your kidneys out, and they will start to function better. Nothing can put you over the top. I mean, this talk will get you going. And you only need to hear this once, and you don't need to buy anything from me. All the information is free. There's no subscriptions to my website. It's a very self-educating thing. And just reading the 140 pages of John Armstrong's The Water of Life will put anybody over the top. Anybody that's actually got an open mind, truth-seeking, you'll know that it is talking about Ponce de Leon's mythical lost fountain of youth. It's a joke that it's lost, just like alchemy is a joke that is something that's hard to study. This is how one would spend 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. You don't bring all that water with you, you just loop your own.
Wow.
And what you will see on average, and this is what I experienced by reading over 1,000 testimonials alone at first. I didn't have anybody really to share this with. There was nobody egging me on like this, except for the one yogi, is that on average, a 60 to 7-year-old person with a death sentence disease, doesn't matter what it is, they go on a urine fast. They stop all food and they just start looping all of their urine, except for maybe 1 glass a day that they save for a once a day full body massage. And rubbing into the skin helps to pull toxins out of the skin.
Wow.
It also, as a side note, happens to be supermodels' biggest secret. If you see the supermodels who are in their 70s or 80s and they still look fantastic, they know about this. And
it's so funny to me that people are cool with, okay, you get stung by a stingray, you can pee on your ankle or whatever. And they're totally cool with urine and semen and things like that and their perfumes and colognes. But, you know, when it comes to even touching your own, or people hear I put it in my garden or whatever, they're like, oh my God, that's so gross. But they'll go to the department store and spray somebody else's urine on themselves.
Right. Or use medicines made with horse piss.
Yeah. Horse pee's good. Yours sucks. Okay.
The murine eye drops. The murine stands for urine. Stands for mare's urine. The hormone replacement pill called Premarin. Premarin stands for pregnant mare's urine.
Wow.
In China, all the urine is secretly collected out of the public urinals and sold to the pharmaceutical companies for billions of dollars a year.
Yeah,
in
like
America,
Eucerin or other like popular lotions and stuff too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, most of the expensive ones, if you see urea or uric acid in the ingredients, that's generally horse piss.
Nice.
And they take it from horses, and it's an incredibly cruel practice because they don't want to let the secret out to humans. There's 400 to 500 horse farms in America, North America alone, with horses permanently in stalls with tubes permanently sewn into their bladders, taking their urine. And sometimes people try to rescue these horses, but it's a horrifying thing that they do to these horses. Porta-John, you see portalets at construction sites or football games. I know specifically the company called Porta-John. There was a film back in the 90s called Urine Good Health. It's a play on the word urine. It's called Urine Good Health. And in there, literally the CEO of Porta-John takes you into one of his portalets and shows you that, you know how the men stand and pee off to the side? Well, he shows you that underneath that, in his thing, he has a special filter, a catch, that catches urea. And they make, back in the 90s, we're making like $500 million a year selling our pee to Merck Pharmaceuticals.
Wow.
This is secretly the most studied substance on the whole planet. This is purposely being held from everybody because it lights people up and it empowers them. Once you realize that you have your own medicine with you constantly, you gain much, much courage, and you start to not realize that you don't need to go see the guy in the white coat. Even for SARS, avian flu, chemtrail, Morgellons, all of these things, none of these things can evade the physics of water, of pure water.
I agree.
And especially with urine, you don't need flu vaccines or any vaccines. You literally have your own vaccination system, and those are the antigens. Whatever is wrong with you, if you've got cancer or AIDS or leprosy, or you've been bit by a cobra, or you've got poison ivy, or you can't sleep well, or you got headaches, whatever is wrong with you, there are antigens, homeopathic-sized dots of information in your urine. And all you have to do, even if you don't swallow it, you just put it under your tongue for 10 minutes and let your lymph nodes study it. that's probably one of the simplest things you could do every day as a beginning practice into getting comfortable with urine therapy is your first morning's pee. Put 10 drops of it under your tongue and hold it there for 10 minutes. Forget, go tie your shoes or whatever. But the first morning's pee especially has the most information in it because you've been asleep for a long time and you've been doing a lot of repair work. So there's all kinds of excess hormones in it, literally human growth hormone, stem cells.
Wow.
And even for people that meditate, the pineal gland releases melatonin while you sleep. So the first morning's pee is loaded with melatonin, and meditators across the board report much, much easier and higher spiritual experience after consuming the entirety of their first morning's urine if they go in and sit and meditate afterwards, because it's a tranquilizer. It makes them sedate, and it has all the properties of melatonin, and you're putting it back into your body.
Okay, so how much do we need a day? Let's say you totally inspired me to start drinking my urine tomorrow morning. I'm going to want to drink just my first morning's urine, or do I want to drink it all day long? Do I want to quit drinking distilled water and fresh juices? Like what is optimal for total or optimal health?
Well, it's a real average, and the basic real rough formula is a gallon a day of any of the combined fluids total for the average 150-pound man. And you adjust it up and down from there depending on your weight or whatever. And the ultimate thing is to make that your entire water source, because it will become, everybody's used to thinking of urine as the stinky, nasty thing, which it is if you're constantly eating cooked food.
Yeah.
But if you go on a urine fast, or if you stop eating cooked food and focus on juicing and raw fruits and vegetables, either way, within 5 days, you start to get rainwater clear urine. And so when you think about somebody going on a 40-day urine fast, which is what typically these people that save their lives do when they've got a life-threatening situation, they're not drinking what you think of as urine for 40 days. They are for the first 5 days. But remember, you're talking about the most perfect distiller that we know of, the liver and the kidneys in conjunction. And it literally becomes rainwater clear and then eventually takes on a slightly sweet, slightly coconut flavored water. And everybody knows how babies smell sweet. Well, the reason they smell sweet is because they have no toxins in them. And the only reason we need to use deodorants is because we have garbage constantly leaking out of us. And so the drinking of it will very quickly, the first thing your body does is clean out the blood highway system, because in order to clean out a town from a disaster, the roads leading out of town need to be clean. And very nicely, even for people that are obese and sickly and very toxic, the first thing their body cleans out when they start hitting the waters is the blood highway system, and hence the urine becomes perfectly clear. And what this also helps you understand is it's not a waste product. If it was a waste product, it would get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. And the exact opposite happens. It gets cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. And so, Lisa Harrison, just a little bit will make a huge amount. I'm just saying the most awesome thing you can do is to make it your fountain. You are a walking fountain, and all you need is a holy grail. The secret to the Holy Grail is that there's not one single such cup hidden somewhere. It's any cup or vessel or grail that you use to start drinking from the fountain of youth. It's not the cup that's magical, it's what's in the cup. So you can't ever
that makes
find
sense. I'm so sorry, Andrew. Yeah, no, let's continue this after this short break. It is that time, everyone, so stay tuned. We will be right back with Andrew Norton Weber here on SoulJourneysRadio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarium. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also, check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Yo, what's up? Check this out. The voice of the revolution. American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
All right, welcome back, and thanks again for joining us here tonight. Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Our special guest tonight, Andrew Norton Weber. He is educating us on distilled waters and urine therapy. And I've already learned so much from you, Andrew. I'm super excited to have you here tonight. So thank you so very much for everything you're doing, educating people everywhere about this very important topic. And I do see we have a caller on the line, but I'd like to finish up where we were. So just hang on, area code 310. We will be right with you. We left off talking about like how much do you need? And you started to share with us Lisa Harrison. So please continue.
Yeah, she noticed just from drinking a third of a cup of her morning's pee, huge hormonal balancing. I think she was going through either premenopausal, she was just unregular or something, and testified on one of my radio shows to amazing benefits just from that amount. And even literally just the 10 drops under your tongue each morning, if nothing, even if you don't swallow it, spit it out. Huge education benefit every morning. Other minor things you can do to get used to it is if you have a cut, you will watch the wound heal at what seems like miracle speed. And it seems to do things that are like, a lot of the books about urine therapy called the miracles of urine therapy, but it's not a miracle. It's just the way it works and the speed at which it works is compared to all the lies that we've been told of what's possible in Western quote unquote medicine. It will heal burns, second and third degree burns with no scarring. It'll take old scars and dissolve them.
Amazing.
One testimonial was I met a woman who worked for 10 years at a field hospital in Nepal, and she said she had, whereas I'm aware of 2,000 case histories that I've read about, she had 10,000 urine therapy case histories under her belt and in person.
Wow.
And that urine was all that they used to treat every illness that came into that hospital. And one dramatic story was a little boy whose hand had been near an explosion, and his finger was charred black, and you could see the bone. And they wrapped his finger in bandages and soaked it with urine. And I believe once every 24 hours, they re-soaked the whole bandage. And within, I think it was 2 weeks maybe, when they took the bandage off, there was a brand new, totally pure white finger there.
Wow. So you're saying a good way to kind of get used to dealing with your urine is just use it on your body first, or maybe just, spit it out or something, as in oil pulling. I know I've been oil pulling and have been extremely successful. In fact, I'm literally regrowing a tooth. I've been using essential oils and other herbs as well, but I've gotten probably like 15 emails from my videos from people saying I should swish with my urine. Do you know anything about that?
Oh yes, it's not only will that swishing will give those 10 minutes of study time for the lymph nodes under the tongue, but it is also 10 minutes is what it suggested for whitening your teeth. Now, it will whiten your teeth from the outside in just by having a little bit in there and for having it in there for a minute or so. But when you hold it in there for a full 10 minutes, the urine gets a soak into the gums and comes into the bloodstream from behind the teeth. And so it gets down into the center of them as well. And I oversaw 3 elderly people on a urine and distilled waters fast in Ecuador. And one of the men had lung cancer. And his teeth were black on the inside from the chemotherapy. And 3 days into the fast, I told him to swish for 10 minutes 3 times a day. Just on the 3rd day, the blackness was almost entirely gone from inside his teeth.
So maybe that would be a good way for me to get started, Andrew, is maybe I'll just start swishing with my urine, you know, in addition to my oil pulling, and then maybe, you know, after I get to taste it and realize, oh, it's not so bad, then I can start drinking.
Yep, and you can put it in your eyes. You can, supermodels, what they do with it is they put it on their face at night and they let it air dry, and then they go to sleep with it on their face and they cold wash it off in the morning. Soap is counterproductive to healthy skin.
Yeah.
And what it is about urine and skin, and it pops out wrinkles, is that urea allows each individual skin cell to hold its maximum amount of water, while at the same time you're handing it the most perfect water in existence. So it's a win-win for your skin cells.
Cool. Well, I could try that. I could try that.
The whitening of the teeth also helps people to understand one of the lies about the distilled waters, which is found in the early death article. In general, if you go around and ask people, should I drink distilled water? If they know anything, you will see this pattern of thinking, oh, no, you shouldn't drink it because it will leach minerals from the body. And this is an on-purpose half-truth, which is in the early death article. And it is true that it leaches minerals from the body, but it's a half-truth because there's 2 types of minerals, and they have opposite electrical charges. Organic minerals have a negative charge, and that's what your body is made out of. You want those to be in your body. All inorganic matter has a positive charge, and those are things you don't want in your body. And even pathogens, viruses, bacteria, and fungi that are bad for you, chemtrails, nanobots, every single thing in existence that is not supposed to be inside your body has a positive electrical charge. And what's so awesome about that is that in the currently accepted world of science, opposites attract, and pure water always has a negative electrical charge. So it's magnetically attracted to every speck and creature that is not supposed to be in your body. So they just lump the 2 types of minerals together in the early death article and say, do not drink distilled water because it'll leach minerals from the body. This is an on-purpose half-truth. Yes, it does leach minerals from the body, but it is physically, scientifically, magnetically, electrically impossible for distilled water to leach the organic, negatively charged matter out of your body, like the calcium that your bones are made of. But
I tell people that when I tell people I'm drinking distilled water or have been for 5.5 years and they bring that up, it's like, look, 5.5 years ago, I was in a wheelchair. Today, I'm not. So if it really is leaching anything that's necessary, well, it can't be. It can't be. You know, the people who aren't drinking it are still sick. I'm not.
That's right.
So that's my indicator.
To whitening the teeth. This helps you to see that it only leaches the positively charged minerals, because people's teeth get whiter, whether they're doing distilled waters or fruit juices or urine, because the water is magnetically pulling all of the positively charged matter that is staining your teeth. Okay. If the distilled waters had the ability to pull both types of minerals out of the body, the teeth would not just get white, they would dissolve. And this does not happen at all. We've got people who are testifying, you know, you're saying 5 years. We got people who've been 35 years, 40 years. I know one doctor, another very important thing for people to study if they want to feel secure about distilled waters is there's a link on my website. It's called Doctors and Experts. And that's about 75 quotes from doctors and experts. Dr. Brian Clement, I think, has been testifying to drinking distilled water for 35 years. And he went to UCLA and had a bone density test. And his minerals and everything they said they had a bone density of a 22-year-old athlete.
Oh,
So
wow.
zero leaching of minerals from his body. Now, also on
Yeah.
my doctors and experts list, we have Dr. Cheryl Scott, who went on a 40-day distilled waters and urine fast to work on her osteoarthritis. She was a nurse practitioner and could hardly do her rounds anymore at the hospital, was actually just contemplating ordering a walker so that she could walk around. But she got a leave of absence and did a 40-day distilled waters fast and had her chem panels and lipids drawn at 21 and 40 days out. All were perfect. And as she testifies, this proves to her beyond the shadow of a doubt that distilled water does not leach organic minerals from the body. It can only leach things of the opposite charge.
Andrew, we're going to be going to another break here in a moment. I just want to apologize to the callers. I promise we will get to you this next segment, but I did want to share with you in regards to the oil pulling and such. One of the listeners on the chat say that they've been pulling urine for 6 days and all the tartar on their molars is completely gone. So yay, woohoo! I can't wait to hear more, but as soon as we come back, we will get to the callers and the rest of your questions. Thank you so much for your patience, but stay tuned. We will be back with Andrew Norton Weber here on SoulJourneysRadio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also, check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
No rules, no rules, no taboo topics, no taboo topics, no fear of doom, no fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio, American Freedom Radio.
Our special guest tonight, Andrew Norton Weber. He is educating us on urine therapy and distilled waters. And Andrew, you have totally got me motivated to, I'm going to start this now. I totally feel ready. And I think it would be really neat. I do lots of little 30 or 60 or whatever day experiments just to kind of put out there for the listeners and my vlog. And, you know, people can kind of see, well, all right, if she did it, and then I can try it. So I'm just thinking maybe, you know, I'll commit to 30 days right now. Starting tomorrow morning, and then have you back on the show, and then I can share with you some of the things that I experienced. We can talk about it and get to some of the other questions that we may not be able to get to all of tonight. So I don't know, would you be into that, coming back next month or something and discuss my 30-day experiment?
That sounds pristine, Christine.
Woohoo! All right. Okay, so let's do this. We got lots of questions. Oh my gosh, and more callers on the line. So let's get to you all right away here. And yeah, so if we don't get to all of your questions in the chat, we are going to have him back next month. So never fear. Plus, you can go to his website and get everything you need answered there, I'm sure. That's at aquariusthewaterbearer.com. Check out the library, or the water library, excuse me, the testimonials, doctors and experts, and then of course his upcoming events. If you're out in California, you can see him twice just in the next couple weeks. So here we go. Let's get to the callers. Our first call tonight is area code 310. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi there. How you doing tonight?
I'm well. How are you all doing?
Great. What do you have for us?
Andrew, this is your Avatar friend from Los Angeles. We met at the Distilled Waters Conference last
Chip?
week. Yes.
Is it Chip Davis?
Sometimes I have been known to go by that.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
It's good. How are y'all doing?
Great, man. Good to hear you.
Sorry. I don't have a very good connection, so if this doesn't work out, I apologize.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Well, I guess I can, I really was just calling in to listen because I was having a tough time with my internet. So, but now that I'm on, I'll say that I have a question regarding black mica. And you brought up Brian Clemente and his work, and he has recently gone on with that guy that is involved with vodka clarity. And I know there's controversy around that product. But I'm wondering about the black mica and some rock substances that people might be finding that actually have their bonds that are negatively charged, and they're actually organic material that is appears to be rock, though.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there are a few rare negatively charged earth materials like diatomaceous earth, zeolites. I wasn't familiar with black mica being one of them, but what they act like a sweep throughout the body. They are, and a lot of times they actually have little cages to their structure. Diatomaceous earth is made from ancient single-celled sea creatures called diatoms. And so not only have a negative charge, but they also have a little cage. And they're very good for detoxing metals. So I think they're a good supplement, and I believe it's even it's ancient knowledge. I believe in tribes, when somebody was sick, sometimes they would specifically hand swallow a handful of clay, but it wasn't just dirt. They would look for there's certain clays, bentonite clay is one of them, that do have a negative charge to them.
Great. Well, I guess the only thing I guess I can say is that I've been drinking distilled water for a little before the Distilled Waters conference, I guess, so maybe 2 years now. Before that, I was doing distilled water and probably foolishly adding Himalayan crystal salt in the form of Soleil drops and some baking soda. I am in tremendous health. I do not get sick. When I do, it purges super fast. It's in and out of me like in about 24 hours. I also do urine pulls in my mouth and have had plaque, and that is now all gone as well.
Nice.
I don't go to the dentist either. My partner has used it for psoriasis of the head. I use it on all my cuts. I recently was bitten by a dog on the street trying to save it from being hit by cars. But I got one pretty good puncture wound, and urine on that all the time for about 3 days, and it's almost unnoticeable now.
There you go.
That's awesome. Okay, so you're, I'm sorry, what was your name, caller?
You can call me.
I'm sorry?
Chip.
Chip, okay. So you said you were doing urine therapy, you were drinking it and swishing with it?
Well, what I do these days is I drink most of it. I drink all the time. Sometimes it's not convenient, but
yeah.
I put it on my body all the time. I'm not as good right now with washing my hair with it.
Mm-hmm.
What else am I doing? I first heard Andrew, I guess, late 2011, and his information, along with other information, has been synchronistic in my life. As soon as I've heard it, I've just known it is true. I just haven't heard someone speak the English language, which I've never connected with, and now understand why. Hearing on Bromar and some others. But I immediately dove in, and I pretty shortly after hearing, I think, the Lisa Harriman talk, I did a 5-day urine fast and had some tremendous releases, mainly through the bowels and skin. And that was pretty profound. And I've had some 4 or 5 crown burst chakra births through some bodywork sessions, as well as some guided meditation and partnered work. So it's been pretty profound for me, and I'm pretty happy.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. I swear I'm starting my urine therapy tomorrow. I am getting over the 40-something years of programming. Ew! And this was definitely the show I needed to get myself just moving that direction. So Chip, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And hopefully we'll hear from you again.
Yes, I'll see you next week, Andrew.
Hey, Chip, you said you had 4 or 5 crown chakra bursts. I'm curious, people that have had those, sometimes they report to me that even when they're not having, the actual burst happening, when they close their eyes, they can see a white light inside. What are you seeing just on a day-to-day basis? Do you see a light inside when you close your eyes?
I've had that light for a very, very long time. I think as long as I can remember.
Okay.
It has definitely morphed over the years, and now that my awareness is on it, it's so hard for me to put to words exactly what kind of happens in my connection to what I see when I close my eyes. I am much more connected to heart-centered and the feelings and vibration of sound through there. So I don't exactly know how to speak to what I see necessarily from my crown burst chakras. All I know is that it goes through my body like shivers almost, and ripples and pulsations, and so I feel that all the time. Like I feel it all the time when I listen to you speak on the radio and other people that inspire my intellect, soul. So it's not necessarily that I see a bright light, but it's definitely bright. There's definitely there's definitely a bright light, but I don't necessarily connect to the strongest part of it being what I see.
Okay, cool. Well,
I feel when it's happening.
Okay, fantastic. That's great because we can help people understand another very important part of this. And thanks a lot, Chip. Hopefully, I get to see you out in California, maybe.
Yeah, either, man. Either.
Okay, buddy. Thanks
All right,
so
Chip.
much.
Thanks so much for your call.
Absolutely. Be well.
I totally agree with him, by the way, when he said that it just felt right when he heard the information and felt like truth. And that's definitely, I agree with that sentiment. So yeah, thanks again for calling in and sharing your experience with us. Let's try, let's see.
Hang on. Before you do that, I got to talk about 2 things that he brought up. One is the detox symptoms. He talked about he went on a 5-day urine fast, and he got pretty amazing detox through his skin and his bowels. And we need to talk about the third eye. Now, what is going on there is this is very, very important to this vibrational war that we find ourselves in. Whether you use urine or the distilled waters, one of the things waiting for everybody is the release of all of your psychic powers. And the beginning of that is unfreezing your pineal gland. And everybody's well aware of the fluoridation calcifying it. But the beauty of the distilled water is that fluoride is an inorganic mineral, and distilled water sticks to everything that has that inorganic positive charge. And so even the people that aren't looking to open their pineal gland, one testimonial I had was from a 70-year-old woman who knew nothing about the pineal gland or the third. She was not an esoteric studier at all, just a typical Western lady. And after 90 days, she had to go to the DMV to get her eyes tested. And after having been required by law to wear driving glasses for 45 years, when she took the test at the DMV, the driver's office, she had 20/20 vision. And the state examiner was very confused and surprised, but he unchecked the box on her license.
Yeah.
Now those are her 2 eyes freeing up. Her 2 eyes had the deposits melted and dissolved out of them. Well, lo and behold, her third eye also dissolved, and she told her son, and now when I close my eyes, I see this white light. And I about dropped the phone when my friend told me that, because this was a great testimonial. This woman has no idea what she's talking about, but she talked about it in layman's terms. And she went to her eye doctor to confirm that she did have 20/20 vision, which she did. And she asked him about the white light. And he said, oh, that's impossible. And when she insisted that she was seeing this white light, he goes, "Oh, that's just something old people do."
Yeah.
But no,
Okay.
what this is your soul. The reason it's called your soul is because that is the sound that we use to describe a ball of light. The solar power we get from the sun. Latin, the sun is called the soul. Spanish, the sun is called the soul. These are all words to use to describe a ball of light in the sky. Well, Descartes said the pineal gland is the seat of the soul, a crystal-covered throne for the ball of light that you are. But the pineal gland is an eyeball that is inside out. Whereas right now we all sit here, and when we look outwards with our two eyes, we are the center of the universe, and the whole of it is out there. The pineal gland is an inside-out eyeball, and it has rods and cones, except that the rods and cones on the inner eye, instead of being pointing outwards, they line the inside of the third eye, and they are oriented and receiving light and looking towards the center of the third eye, which is full of water. When you unfreeze the pineal gland and people start to see white light, that is called a crown chakra burst. What you are actually looking at right then is yourself, your soul. The physical body that your soul resides in, at that moment, is looking with its physical third eye, rods and cones. Your physical body is looking at your spiritual body. That is what that white light is inside your head. And that is just the beginning of opening up your third eye. Of course, we all know how important this is. And things like telepathy start to happen. People start to be able to see in the room that they're in, even with their eyes closed. People start to have a glow, a halo of light around them that they can see whether their eyes are closed or not. So we have people who are meditating for decades on end, trying to get spiritual bliss, trying to get some kind of a feeling. And the problem is having a rock in the center of your head where there should be a juicy, wet, squishy, functional third eye. And when you melt it, you start to see the light within. Yeah. So that will very much lead to all of your psychic powers that you've ever heard of. That's where you start accessing. So wouldn't that be nice in a time of vibrational war? Now, the other thing that Chip mentioned was just as important. Detox symptoms. He mentioned bowels and skin. He probably had some rashes and amazing smelling things come out of his bowels. When you understand that this water magnetically sticks to the garbage inside you, you must be ready for detox symptoms and not to fool them as though the water is making you sick. Because that's one of the ruses that they try to use to scare people away from it, is they list the detox symptoms. Say, okay, if you want vomiting, diarrhea, rashes, and on and on and on, go ahead and drink these waters. Well, what those are is the detox symptoms. And if you melt the stuff, it's going to start to come out. And it's not fun. And it can come out in all kinds of different ways. Your feces can smell like petroleum, off the charts, worse. Your armpits can start to sting. Your breath will start to smell. You can have rashes in weird places. You might have joint pains in your left knee for 2.5 days. What it is all these different densities of deposits loosen up at different times and start to dissolve at different times. And so it comes and goes. The list of detox symptoms goes on forever. It's totally depends on what you've absorbed your whole life, where you stored it, and how your body chooses to get rid of it. And so everybody has to gauge their own detox symptoms. And if it feels like too much detox, back off on the waters. And in general, we found that the juices mitigate detox symptoms.
Absolutely. That makes
sense.
Let's
talk about detox symptoms when we come back, and about how juicing helps to mitigate.
Yep, it is that time. Hang on, everyone. Stay tuned. We will be right back with Andrew Norton Weber here on Soul Journeys Radio.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lemuria. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also, check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Welcome to the world's meeting place. American.
It's practically narcotic.
Freedom.
Oh, yes. I like very much.
Radio.
You're an American institution.
American Freedom Radio.
Welcome back, and thanks again for joining us here tonight with Andrew Norton Weber here on souljourneysradio.com. Lots of information to cover here and not a lot of time, so we're going to try to get through the rest of this quickly. But again, I am going to be bringing him back so we can go further in depth about this entire topic and then talk about my own personal experiences, because I am going to, I'm starting right now. That's it. Today's the day. AquariusTheWaterBearer.com is the website. And I've copied all your questions in the chat. So we're going to do our best to get to them after we get to the callers here. So let's see who's up next. Area code 774. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi there. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, thank you. What do you have to share with us?
I just wanted to make one comment. Well, first I'll just say that I appreciate all the info you guys are putting out there, and Andrew's really been instrumental in taking away the making people comfortable with the idea of distilled water and urine. But I had a comment. I was hoping maybe Andrew could explain. I often hear him say that water has a negative charge and it attracts inorganic matter in the body. And so I decided to do some research about the chemical makeup of water. And what I've found is a water molecule has a net neutral charge, but it is polar, meaning it has a positive pole and a negative pole, because an oxygen atom is more electronegative than a hydrogen atom. So the way that it's explained, I don't question any of the benefits that I've heard, all the anecdotal evidence that distilled water is, awesome for you spiritually and physically, but the mechanism to how it's working seems to be not explained correctly, and I think it's in the best interest of everyone to get it correct. So I was just wondering if you guys had any comments to that.
The science of it, to me, is of secondary importance. What we have, which is a rare situation here, is that generally in philosophy and in science and in learning, you're not supposed to say that you know anything. That's supposed to be the sign of a fool. But here, we are lucky, and we have the 2,000 testimonials, and we're working backwards from knowing that something works. And so if you can find a different way to explain how it sticks to everything that's dead inside us, that's fine with me. I'm not a scientist. I'm a layman. I'm not a doctor. I'm giving my opinion. And the actual knowing of how it works is of secondary importance to me. When somebody tries to argue with me and presents an argument that's complicated or difficult to understand, or even if it's easy to understand, if it contradicts what the 2,000 testimonials say, then my job is very easy. All I have to do is I know that what they've said is wrong somehow, and so it makes it easy to start looking at it and picking it apart.
Right. Intuitively, I latched on to what you were saying from the beginning. About a year ago, I had, you name it a spiritual awakening. But somehow I was led to what you were saying and distilled water. And, just the taste of the water is I mean, you don't really need to explain anything, but I'd be interested for myself to, I posted on the Distilled Waters Facebook page what I've been trying to say about the science, and I feel like if the science can be better explained, we live in a society of, you know, you got to explain it down to the, you know, you're not taken seriously unless you can really get the science. And I feel like if we can get closer to that, then we might be able to increase the sphere of, you know, influence into what we're doing here. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you guys and keep going. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right. Thank you so much for your call. And let's see, we got another one. I think we can fit the next one in before the next break. We have here area code 315. Welcome to the show.
315. Hey, Andrew, Jeffrey Cohen, your mom's friend from old.
Hey, Jeffrey, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. I was just listening with my phone because the internet wasn't working. I don't have any questions. Just enjoying listening.
Nice, buddy. I appreciate you being in the group and offering all your advice and help to people and encouraging others all along. You've been a real trooper. And
thank you.
Thanks for visiting my mom once in a while up there in the frozen north.
Yay. All right, Hanson, nothing you wanted to share with us here tonight?
No, thanks.
All right.
I'm going to let you go. Just keep up the good work.
Hey, I'll see you in California, buddy.
All right.
All right. Thanks so much for calling in. Okay. All right. Well, Andrew, we have a ton of questions here in the chat. And so let's just play it like, say there's somebody else listening, which obviously there is, who is also considering trying urine therapy like myself. What would be the best way to go about it? How much would we want per day? Can we start, you know, you mentioned drops. You also mentioned just trying some on your skin or hair, etc. So hold our hands and tell us how it would look in your world optimally for us to start urine therapy today.
Well, I would stand in front of a sink because as you start to lift that glass to your mouth, you very might well go, what am I doing?
Okay.
So I did that for many years. You just never know when your mind is going to revolt and backtrack on you. And it really is some conditioning that you do have to work through. So we've all been brainwashed terribly. So just start with, I mean, some people just dive right in. They can start drinking all of it. Some people, I think a very common thing is to start with a few sips of your morning's urine and then slowly increasing the volume over time. You know, you need to see that you didn't die from your first gulp.
Okay. Do you think for me, since maybe I can start implementing it into my oil pulling and do that maybe for a couple days and then just start, I don't know, maybe swallow a tablespoon one day and then a quarter cup the next day and go like that?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And, you know, putting it on your skin, I think that's the great way. You don't even start putting it in your mouth. Just, you know, you can even avoid your face at first. What you can notice, just take a bowl of urine and start washing your hands with it, like start massage, like almost like you're soaking in palm olive. Just keep rubbing your hands over and over, and within about 10 minutes, you'll see that your hands get buttery, leathery, soft.
Oh.
And put it on your face, just, you know, even 3 times during one day. You'll immediately see your skin starts to have a little bit of a sheen to it. It holds that water very well. And it provides a refreshed feeling.
Okay. So what if I put some in my shampoo? Like I'd like to make shampoo with different teas and coconut oil, essential oils, and maybe I could use less chamomile tea and substitute the urine?
Yes, people do wash their hair with it. There is a whole world related to aged urine, and when it ages, the content stays the same except for the ammonia. The uric acid ferments into ammonia, and the ammonia content shoots through the roof. And
Oh.
even to the touch, it becomes very slippery. And it is known that when aged urine comes in contact with human or with fat, that a soap is created, and an actual sudsing white foaming soap. And if you
Wow.
get your hair greasy enough combined with, say, 30-day aged urine, you will literally, like when you put a puddle of shampoo in your hand and then you put it up in your head, and all of a sudden these foaming bubbles appear. That is exactly what happens with aged urine. So some people wash their hair with it. If they have the privacy, you can leave it in and let it soak and let it condition your hair for a few hours. People report having stronger than ever hair. Their hair comes back if they're missing their hair. Their hair comes back to its original color if they've gone gray. There's very common testimonial that people will go from gray to back to black or blonde or whatever their hair was.
Okay, so you're saying urine plus fat equals soap, pretty much.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
there's old recipes. There's a lot of old recipes for aged urine.
So for storing it long periods to use topically is still good. Now, what about drinking? Somebody who wants to start drinking it asked how long it can be stored.
You're only supposed to drink it fresh. You're supposed to drink it within 10 to 15 minutes. You're not supposed to drink it aged. The only time I've seen it recommended aged is if you have parasites and worms. I saw recommended to age it for 18 to 24 hours to bump the ammonia content up a little bit and then drink it. And that'll really attack parasites and worms. But in general, you just think about how things oxidize. How when your blood comes out, if you have a cut, very quickly it turns dark. It oxidizes. When you juice things, you're supposed to juice them you're supposed to eat them, consume them within 10 to 15 minutes because they start to oxidize. The same thing happens with your urine. It's best to put it back in as soon as it comes out.
Okay, so optimally for drinking, you want it fresh. And but if you want to use it topically for whatever, shampoo, your skin, cleansing, you can store for unlimited amount of time, maybe?
Yes, it gets stronger. I have some that's like 3 years old, and it gets stronger. You will not believe the ammonia content that gets produced.
Okay, so then you could use it as a floor cleaner.
You actually can. It was used in industry in ancient times. In ancient Rome, there was a tax on urine. If you had to go to the bathroom and we were out standing in the corner chatting, there were concrete or stone bunkers on the corners that people would pee in. And the guy the piss collectors, whose job it was to come around with carts and empty and collect that urine, those guys had to pay a tax on the volume of urine that they collected because it's so useful in industry. It can be used to prepare leather for tanning. It can be used to prepare wool for dyeing. It'll bleach wool. You can dry it, and that ammonia is very much made out of nitrogen. And so when you take aged urine and you let it evaporate, you're left with a big pile of nitrogen, which I believe you add sulfur and charcoal to it, and you get gunpowder. So it was actually used and can be used to make gunpowder. My wife went on a cruise to Pompeii, and the director pointed out that the pots where they would save their urine, so they used to use their teeth, brush their teeth with it, because it was known for whitening teeth. So this is ancient knowledge. There's a 6,000-year-old Indian Sanskrit document called the Shivambu Kalpa. It was in a larger document called the Damar Tantra, and there was had 107 verses specifically devoted to how to use your urine. There's an ancient Egyptian water of life papyrus that had like 15 lines about using the water of life, which is AKA urine. And the first line of it is, the water of life is given to you. Drink it and wash your body with it.
Wow.
So it's very simple.
Okay, so that's the fountain of youth. We're actually holding it, we're creating it and distilling it ourselves, huh?
Yes, the joke is that it's the waters. It's not that you have to find the actual fountain. I mean, everybody comes with one fountain. But even within that, it's not even the urine per se, it's the distilled water aspect of it, which magnetically sticks to all foreign matter to the body. So it de-ages you because it clears out the mud that's making you dark and gray and non-glowing. And the sacred geometric and water antenna that your body is starts to channel tons of light, and then people start to glow. Hence the
Okay.
fountain of youth. People lose age. They lose 20. Those 60 to 70-year-old people that go on a 30 to 40-day fast, on average, they lose 20 to 30 years in appearance, along with kicking out whatever disease they had.
Yay. I'm going to be 12 again.
On average, a 40-year-old person, if a 40-year-old person does a 15-day urine fast, they generally reduce themselves to about the 25-year-old version of themselves.
All right. Well, I'm going to take pictures too. So I'm not only going to document like how I'm feeling physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of that, but I'll take pictures of my skin as well. And maybe just to make this experiment, you know, to really see the difference, maybe I'll just start like 30 days. I'll just rub it on like the left side of my body, and then we can compare the left and the right. And then, you know, the next month I can do it all. But I hear the music, so hang on, everyone. We will be back. See you on the other side with Andrew Weber on Soul Journeys Radio.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also, check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
News and information you can trust. This is American Freedom Radio. Freedom, American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
All right, welcome back, and thanks so much for joining us here. My, how time flies by when you're talking about pee. Okay, just kidding. Have a little fun here with Andrew Norton Weber, urine therapy and distilled waters, and this show went by way too fast, so I'm going to have him on again here really, really soon. So check the calendar. We will get to all of your questions that we were unable to address here tonight, but I'm going to go through some of them for us newbie urine drinkers who are going to start tomorrow. I noticed there's at least one more in the chat that's going to start with me right away. And yeah, with the experiment, at least for the skin part, I'll just do, you know, maybe my left side, then the right side, and I'll take pictures like I did with all of the oil pulling stuff so you can see without a shadow of a doubt. Because it's always easy to say, oh, well, I've been oil pulling for 6 months, or I've been using this skincare oil or this or that, and it's doing all these great things for my skin. Well, how do you know if you don't have something to look back and compare it on, right? You know, because these subtle changes, it's just, I don't know. So I am going to take pictures. I'm going to do it with the skin, the hair. I'll do the pulling, and I will start drinking. And then I'll have you back on the show to discuss all of that and share some of the changes. And of course, I'll do a video as well. But let me ask you some of these questions here. Somebody asked, do you believe that drops under the tongue can help insomniacs?
Yes, there's something called factor S. That is a compound when people are having trouble sleeping. That will be in your urine. Basically, on average, whatever's wrong with you, the information of that will be in your urine, and putting it on your tongue will help to study that. It's basically not much that I've seen that it doesn't help, including schizophrenia and Down syndrome and autism and depression and bipolar. And all of these things are caused by, to simplify, foreign matter in the body, which has a positive electrical charge, and the negative charge of water sticks to it and vacuums it out of the body. And it's just that simple.
Okay. All right. Here's another question. They asked, do you think this would work on someone that had no oxygen to the brain for 2 hours and now has cerebral palsy as a result? He says now they can't talk or walk.
I do have testimonial from a girl who has had cerebral palsy her whole life, and it does repair tissues. The human growth hormone in it rebuilds the body. The girl with cerebral palsy was confined to a wheelchair her whole life and was incontinent, could not control her bladder. And after very little time of her mother giving her urine, she gained control of her bladder. And she now, after 21 years of wearing diapers, she no longer wears diapers. And that's something that just happened in the past couple of months.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. Here's another question. Somebody who wants to start this therapy right away asked, so can I mix it with my morning shake or with my morning juice and get the same effect as drinking it straight?
It's going to be diluted some, but yes, that's absolutely a trick that many people use. Even 1 inch of orange juice into a whole glass of urine will change the flavor enough to make it palatable.
Okay.
But absolutely, use it for everything. You can make your tea with it if you wanted to. Even distilled water, people report when they make coffee that they need to use less coffee beans when they use distilled water because it's not fighting the flavors that come in the tap waters. So if you had really clear pee, you could use it even for that. But yeah, you will absolutely get the homeopathic effects of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so if you're a little, again, trying to break through the programming that we've had for however many decades we've been on this planet, if we're still feeling that hesitation, like, oh my God, I can't drink my own pee. Oh my God, what am I doing here? Then it might be a good trick to maybe mix it with our morning juice to start off with. Okay. Yep. Now, somebody else here asked if the urine is a little cloudy sometimes, is that still okay to drink?
Yes. Even if it's black and putrid and thick and horrifying, it is exactly what your body needs to know. It is information. It is leftovers. It is compounds, hormones, vitamins, minerals, things that are all bioavailable and extra. But it is also information. And when you need to read the testimonials to see this. And one extreme case is in John Armstrong's The Water of Life, underneath orchitis, orchitis. There is only one testimonial of orchitis in that book, and the man pees out urine. And Armstrong has been around 30,000 patients. And this is the most foul, most putrid urine that he has ever seen. And the patient drinks all of it. And within, I think it's either half an hour or a few minutes, the symptoms of that particular case subside by half. And so what it is, it's information, it's knowledge. For your immune system needs to make white blood cells that have the proper knowledge of what foreign invader they're dealing with. And so when you train these white ninjas and you give them the instructions of who is messing with them, now they know how to go out into battle and to destroy the enemy. And you will find that as soon as you give the body the right information, these diseases are wiped out in what seems like miracle time.
Okay.
But it is only because you have given your soldiers the knowledge of who their enemy is.
All right. Excellent. Okay, we have, about 3 minutes left here. I do just want to bring up another testimonial. Somebody listening in the chat. She said that she healed her son's pink eye in less than 24 hours with urine. So that might be something good to know. Instead of, I mean, chamomile cold presses or compresses and such are great too. But if you don't have any chamomile and it's the middle of winter or whatever, you're in a location where you can't just go get some, it's really nice to know that you can take care of it with urine. Let's see. We asked the storage one. Okay. If you refrigerate your urine, does that change its values?
A little bit. You're supposed to drink it right away, and I would think that actually having it the room temperature of your body would be the most perfect. Right when it comes out, it is the temperature of your body. Some people think they're going to chill it and make it more appetizing, but it's, as far as I've seen, it's not really. It's better just to get it down. Plus, it's going to oxidize some. Whatever's floating around the air is going to get into it. It's best just to put it down and help keep it within that self-contained system that you have.
Okay.
Detox symptoms, we wanted to come back around to.
Yeah, I'm sorry, let me just ask these 2 more questions and then go into that. Somebody was asking about brushing your teeth afterwards. They were referring to pulling, excuse me, with the urine, or swishing, or however you refer to it. Do you need to brush your teeth afterwards? And I guess we'll apply that same question to your skin. As you mentioned, rubbing it in your hands or whatever. Do you want to wash after that, or is that the wash itself?
It is the wash itself, and it is sterile, and there are communities in Siberia and whatnot, places where they have very limited water. They actually use urine to wash their dishes.
Okay.
You can use it in your eyes as eye drops, using ears as ear drops. You can wash your hands with it, and you don't need to wash it off. It's a matter of your privacy too, as far as brushing your teeth. If you have a spouse that's not drinking it, they're not going to want to smell urine fumes on your breath. Of course, if you get really clean and you start getting to the clean, slightly sweet, slightly coconut flavored water, then you're just going to have beautiful breath. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But most people during the transition, it's going to smell, and it depends on your privacy, if you have to leave the house or not. If you can stay at home, then you can leave it on.
Okay, Andrew, we have about a minute left, so if you could just share all of the detox information you'd like to in our remaining minute, and then we'll get to all the rest next time.
Okay. Basically, you want to detox will pull out ancient toxins that are stored in your body that your body hasn't processed yet. And so we are in a very mineral deficient state from the onslaught of poisons that we've been in. And we found that juicing, your body needs to, when it does finally escort your toxins out of the body, they need to be escorted by a living organic substance, an actual part of your body that neutralizes it. It can't just be like pure ammonia floating down through the bloodstream. It has to be accompanied by something that neutralizes it. Like when you drink Coca-Cola, your body releases actual calcium out of your bones to neutralize it. So we found that if you are seriously sick, if you are very toxic, a lot of people can just jump into this and they'll suffer mild detox symptoms. But if you are very, very ill, if you've done a lot of hard drugs in your life, if you've lived in northern climates and eaten lots of meats and potatoes, you're probably nutrient deficient. Juicing helps to mitigate detox symptoms. So if you're feeling crappy at all, put some juice in. Live juices, nothing pasteurized.
Yeah, juice that you make yourself with fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, anything in a can, bottle, box, you gotta know by now. That is not even close to being juice. Andrew, thank you so very much for joining us here tonight. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. Again, his website where you can find tons more information is AquariusTheWaterBearer.com. And if you are in California or can get there, he will be speaking at 2 events in the next couple weekends out in Sacramento. That's AquariusTheWaterBearer.com. Blessings and love to you all. We will see you tomorrow night. Thanks again for being here. SoulJourneysRadio.com.